This is Nathan Gerby of the Carolina Hurricanes, and you're watching the Power Play Break, the place to talk about pucks.
Back here in the Power Play Break with Bobby Taylor. Bobby, let's talk about now. You get to go play for the Calgary Buffaloes, a home team. What was that like? Was that more of an organized experience for you all of a sudden?
Yeah, it was kind of the natural progression as I was going. But then I was starting to think, as you do when you get younger, when you start playing at a higher level and you start playing against elite teams. And we played in it was called the Central Alberta League then. And it was the Edmonton Oil Kings, who were absolute powerhouse in junior hockey in the Western Canada. Then we came in, we were kind of like an expansion team. We played Senior A. Back then they would play for the Allen Cup, and that was really good because there was only the National Hockey League and the American League. That was it, so they were really good players, and we played like Lacombe, Drumheller, Medicine Hat, Red Deer. I mean, you're playing against men, and you're 16, 17, 18, you're playing against men that are pretty good players. So it was something. I mean, we got shelled. Gosh, we were getting 40 shots a game. It was one of those things that. But when you're young and stupid. You don't think of anything about it.
40 shots, I can stop those. I'm young.
That's natural.
You wind up going to St. Catharines and you start moving around a lot. Was that very disheartening for you, or was it kind of exciting for you to be starting to move around to different teams and different leagues at that point?
Well, it was the funny part was I was the first guy for a long time to ever go down east and play in junior hockey, and that was with St. Catharines. And back then you could only have one east-west transfer, and so there was myself and another kid by the name of Frank Olombrowski, who was a forward. He was a pretty good player, but when we were at training camp, he broke his ankle, so he was out for a good half of the year. And I went to St. Catharines. Kenny Hodge, played there. Paul Terbenci, who played mostly in the World Hockey, played a little bit for Buffalo. He played there, So we had a decent team, not a great team, but a decent team. So when they shifted me back to play for the Oil Kings, they told me, it's not that we don't want you here, but we got a kid by the name of Bobby Groh, I believe his name was, who could suffice for us, but we needed more help up front because we were so bad that way. So they brought Frank back after his ankle, and I had to go back west, excuse me. So it wasn't really, I never looked at it like you started to move around too much. It was just one of those
part of the game
situations,
kind of
one of those situations, like getting traded.
Yeah.
One of your situations where, okay, I'll take it in stride. And I never really thought I was going to make it in the National Hockey League, to be honest with you, until Philly drafted me in the original draft, original expansion draft. And I thought, wow, they must think I'm pretty good.
So you're playing at this point, and a bit of history that I looked up on you, that you played for the original New Jersey Devils team.
Yes.
And that was in the Eastern Hockey League. What was that experience like? I hear there was one game that you came into, and people were expecting, he's played pro, he knows what he's doing.
Oh, my God. That's the first game. Well, actually, I played the 1 year, the first time. I played the whole year there, and I was the biggest guy in the team. At 6'1", 185 pounds, so you imagine. In that league, I had over 120 minutes in penalties that year because all our little guys would be getting the crap beat out of them. So I go, oh, God, I got to go in and help them. So it was really funny, and New Haven, Nighthawks, and I mean, it was a tough league. Well, the movie Slapshot was made about that league.
Yeah.
And everybody kind of laughs at it. They kind of made a parody of it, but a lot of that stuff were really real stories that happened over a period of about 10 years, but the kid that wrote it just put it all into one year and one movie.
Ned Dowd.
Yeah.
He wrote the whole thing.
Oh, my God, unbelievable. So I was getting 40 shots a game. We were playing 72 games in 21 weeks. So you were playing 5 games a week. You weren't practicing. You had 13 guys, 1 goalie, 12 players. So the goalie was the king. Boy, they looked after you because the trainer was supposed to be your backup. And I remember one time I got hit in the head here, Chris. I took about 73 right here. And, kind of knocked me goofy. And they came back and they threw a couple of butterfly stitches on it. Back out I went to play, and I'm crouched over waiting for the face-off. I remember laughing, that old guy on the bike that all of a sudden would just fall over on the bike. That was me. boom, I went over like this. And they had to put in,
The trainer had to get in the mix.
well, no, they couldn't find him. He ran out of the building. He couldn't think, he was, oh my God, we couldn't find him for 2 days. He wouldn't come back. He finally came back, and anyway, that was really funny. And you couldn't sleep. You were so wound up, you couldn't sleep. And I remember I asked our team doctor at the time, and really a nice man, and I said, Doc, you gotta help me. I can't sleep. I mean, I'm so tired, and I'm overtired, I'm so angry, and I'm fired up and everything. And he said, well, I'll give you these pills to help you sleep. So he gave me these brown pills. I kid you not, they were like that. I said, do I swallow them or do I sit on them? I says, are you kidding me? What do I? So it was really kind of funny, and we went by school bus everywhere. So $4 a day meal money.
Oh my God.
And I listen to these guys now, and they're laughing about, and they're saying, "Oh man, we got this 4-hour flight, and we only got 3 choices on the plane to eat." And I'm going,
And you're thinking to
boys,
yourself, you have no idea what it's like.
you
That
have no
$4
idea.
meal money. And,
no idea
you know.
before there was a Players Association what it was like.
Well, I also looked up in 68, 69 when you played there. You played in 70 games, and you won 25, lost 38, and tied 7 in that season. Was that setting the table for you to get to the NHL? Were you ever thinking to yourself, it's never going to happen for me, but I'm having a lot of fun just playing, in the minors right now?
Well, going back to my school, I was talking to you about, my dad wanted me to go to school. One of the reasons why I accepted Philly's offer to come down there, first of all, the guy that was the general manager of that Jersey Devil team was a guy by the name of Eddie Ferenz, who went on to become the travel guy and a big guy for the Philadelphia Phillies. And he was a good friend of my brother growing up from Lethbridge. And I wanted to know, I said, look, I needed money to go to school. And I couldn't, back then Canada wasn't taking junior college transfers, so I'd have to come to the States to get my degree. And I had no money, so I figured, well, how am I going to make money? Well, I got to play hockey. So I signed with Philly, and they paid me a lot of money, way more than anybody else got in that Eastern League, to go there. And what Eddie Ferenz was telling me was that they were trying to hide me there for a year because they also drafted that kid by the name of Fern Rivard. Mm-hmm. And after every year, I guess part of their agreement was they had somewhat of a reverse draft that the bad teams could pick from a good team's roster, And so Minnesota took Fern Rivard, and they knew that was something like that was going to happen. They didn't want me to be exposed because they were going to send me to Quebec, and they sent Rivard, and he got picked by Minnesota. So anyway, I needed the money to go to school, so I wasn't really paying attention. I just went out and played, and I wanted to make money, save money, so I could finish going to school, and it was a while. Larry Plow.
Yep.
Larry Plow played there. Larry was in the Army at the time, and he was Montreal Canadiens property, but he had to serve, that was back in the draft days.
Yes.
So he had to have his 2 years in the Army, so he was stationed at Fort Dix.
Oh, right in Jersey.
In Jersey there. So Montreal gave him permission, or gave Flyers permission for him to go play in New Jersey. So Larry come down and played. He was, by far the class of the league, but it was funny. He was my teammate back then. We laugh about those days every once in a while we get in there, because I said, what do you do in the Army? He says, oh, I'm the guard on the garbage truck. He said, yeah, because everything was fresh, and they'd throw everything out, so they'd go to the dump or the landfill, and you couldn't let the people take the food back then.
Yeah.
So he had to ride shotgun on the food truck, so they dumped the darn food. Oh, unbelievable.
So you get drafted by Philly. Was that exciting for you? Were you saying to yourself, "Oh my God,
Yeah,
it's an expansion team, but it's got how to be." Who called you to tell you you've been called by the Flyers?
One of the scouts, Jerry Melnick, was our scout in the West. Jerry Melnick was the guy that discovered Bobby Clarke too, and absolutely pounded it into their heads to draft him. Clarke should have been a number 1 pick, but he had diabetes, and he went number 2. But they weren't even going to draft him then. Thank goodness they did. But he was
it
the one.
exciting for you?
I was pumped. I thought, man, this is really something. Because believe me, when I say back in those days, it was a means to an end hockey. I wanted to get my schooling, and I eventually went back every summer to Seattle University to get my degree. But that was the means to an end. And then I started thinking, geez, you might be able to do something with this, and make a decent living out of it, and get your school at the same time.
When we get back on the power play break, we're going to talk to the Chief about when he goes to play for the Flyers. Next.